okay, this time we have a special edition of the interview. Can you give a quick intro to what you're going to present today?
Yeah, so I'm the PPC EU commissioner in the VRPL, and we pretty much built the first ever EU league for everyone in the EU, pretty much, so that finally we can play with an EU ping. And PUB is one of the stuff, the one that I talk with the most and discuss every detail pretty much.
And my role is just to help, really, bring a better level playing field for EU players that they've been screaming for months. EU ping, EU times, EU player focused, so that we can try and draw some talent out from the EU pool of players. And my role really is just to help Rupe and the other staff members with whatever it is that they need.
Although that's a big understatement, but that's fine.
Yeah, it usually is. Joe is probably doing everything.
We haven't started arguing yet. Give it 20 seconds, we'll be ripping each other away.
So you mentioned earlier when we discussed this interview, you mentioned an event that you're going to organize very soon. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So we pretty much started the EU League last Monday. So we had the first qualifier where we had 19 teams all competing with each other. And the scores pretty much determined which group they are playing in. And the 6 teams who play in the top group, so with the best scores pretty much, they will compete next Monday for the first prize pool of €105. And that's pretty much each week for the next 5 weeks. And afterwards, we also have like a playoff. And the system, quickly explained, is pretty much, instead of having a season that takes you 5 weeks, every season is just like 1 week, and you have only like 5 games in the season. And then from this group, like the top 2 move up, the bottom 2 move down. So you switch like way more quickly between the groups and the leagues, so to say. Which also means that when you're improving, you have like a way easier time to move up, for example. I think it's just pretty fitting for the EU, pretty much.
Nice. How many groups do you have?
Right now it's 3. I think it's quite cool because we have like a lot of like really good teams, but we also have like some more casual teams, and all of this actually fits together. And even like the first lobby that we had, I think everyone enjoyed it pretty much. It was great, and everyone had making fun. That's pretty much what we want.
Just to add to that, it is very much based upon competition. We want really good, healthy, strong competition that we've seen, over the last sort of 16 months. But we also want to bring that, community spirit into it. And what I witnessed on Monday playing in it was everyone was backing and supporting each other. Even though teams were getting beat, they were learning something. But the really strong teams in that particular qualifying group were very supportive of the ones that weren't quite doing as well. So it just felt like a newborn competition that I've not seen before in Pop 1 as yet.
I'll try to rephrase what I heard, and you let me know if I got it correctly. So it's basically a competitive tournament specifically for EU players, right? So it's EU-friendly time. Then EU groups competing with each other. Do you accept any people outside of EU in the squad?
Yeah. So in any team there can be one NA player or one Asian player. It just has to be like 2 EU players, pretty much.
So and then they play once a week, right?
Yes, every Monday at 20 or 8 p.m. Central European time, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And then after each play, 2 teams, the best top teams go to their next group, the bottom teams go to the bottom group, right?
Yes, correct.
It's like a season within a season, so it's consistently you're moving and progressing. Like currently, the leagues seem to be very static, and you could be in, let's say, the bottom league somewhere in another league, and it could take you months to even progress up. So with this, there's a lot of development, there's a lot of motivation to get better. You can see your progress as you're moving up, moving down to try harder. There's a prize pool every week, which has never been done. It's usually end of season. So every week you're getting rewarded for those, top numbers and top play. So it just keeps it fresh. It's a really good, fresh format that, allows everybody to have a chance.
Nice.
I think it's more like a video game reward system compared to like the tournaments or like seasons pretty much. So every week you actually fight for something. Whereas like if it's just for points, like that's a bit different, right? Like here you kind of have to get first or second to move up pretty much.
Do you still accept new teams into the tournament?
Yes, we do. They would need to start from the bottom. Although, I mean, that's not final, but I'm thinking about a way of maybe letting them start slightly, like maybe in the second group or something, if they're like really strong teams, but I haven't really finalized anything. But usually they can just join and would start in the bottom group and then just have to move, draw their way back, kind of move up pretty much, which is only like 2 weeks to get them to the first group right now. So it's not a big deal pretty much.
And it is a very good, it's a good starting block for them, because if you look at the bottom group as it stands at the moment, it looks very leveled. And we had, I think, 3 brand new teams in there, that are in this bottom group now that have just started competition together. So you're never ever going to get skill matching until we have something that we can skill match with. But the qualifiers seem to sort it out, and it's now all about your play. So, if you're really good and you're strong, but you're new to comp and you get up there, you'll get progressed up to the middle group and then from middle to top. So, we welcome all new players, and that's really what it's trying to promote is, there's a place now for EU people to actually compete more fairly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I would also say that it makes a lot of sense to even jump in now, even if you're like a top team and you think that you can't win the first or the next 2 weeks, obviously. But getting into playoffs, which we will have after the season, also means there are more prizes, and also means that there's like a spot for the PPL if you get first in playoffs, which is the creme de la creme pretty much of like comp in VRPL. Where pretty much Cobra, Fugitives, all of the top teams play. Yeah.
And in terms of prizes, do you have prizes for each group, or is it only the top group get the prize?
It is only the top group for the, so to say, weekly prize. But then we also have, I think it's like 25% of the prize pool, which pretty much goes to special awards. So obviously we have something like kills. We have then also something like pin drop, soft kills. There's like one interesting one that we can kind of do where the team that moves up or down the most will actually get the prize. And each prize is pretty much 30 euros. So I think there are like 8 of these 30 euro prizes where like different things to do. And we also have like one 50 euro prize. Maybe you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so we've introduced things like, the best clip of the season. So what we're encouraging is, excuse me, also, like viewers, looking at the casts, getting involved, but also the players looking back at some of their play where they've had some great moments, and that should be celebrated, and they can put that in as an entry to the best season moment. We've got Best Dressed, and the idea around Best Dressed and the Commissioner's Special Prize, we're trying to inject a little bit of colour and fun into the game. So other leagues, you have to be like level 1, PJ Hattie and Roy, for example. We wanted to celebrate, all of the colours that have been brought out in these skins over the last sort of 16 months. So, each player in the team has to be a different character. And the idea is the best dressed team goes forward and gets nominated for a 30 euro.
Nice.
So we've got some fun stuff as well. Like, this is not all just the serious stuff. And then the best clip is for the season can be your most epic fail. You could kill yourself with a grenade, and we've got that on clip on the casters. We can clip that and we can it as a nomination. Or, you might do a complete solo wipe on a team, really exciting end zone game to, finish to it, and you might want to. So we're not just going down the serious route, we're opening it up so everybody has a chance to win something.
A couple of questions about kind of the mechanics of the tournament. Do you need all teams to consist of the same people, or can like one person, for example, leave one week and join a week after that?
Yeah, so subs are pretty much no problem at all. The only thing is that as soon as you kind of played for one team, you cannot play for any other team, obviously. But other than this, if you never played for any of the teams, you can just sub someone in, sub someone out. And honestly, I think with like so many tournament seasons going on, I think it's even better to have like 4 players in a team anyways, in my opinion at least. So I would actually encourage that, to be fair.
Do you have someone streaming in all of the groups?
So the streaming part of it, as we've realised over, the last sort of 6-7 months, and since JT first started casting the PPL back in the day, a lot of people watch it and actually enjoy watching it sometimes more than playing. So what we've got is a really nice pool of casters. We've got Honeygun Go, we've got Darkness, we've got Buccifello Rome. So these are all EU streamers and casters, casting over the 3 lobbies for the EU at the moment. And we've just got the shoutcasting tool, which we're just about to try out after this, actually. And also JT Dubs has agreed to come and join VRPL to come back and do his casting, which I know like loads of people will be so happy about. So yes, we do cast it, and I think that's a very important part of it, is bringing that content to a wider audience, either to whet the appetite to get involved, or in gameplay, or whet the appetite to get involved and help out like we're helping, try and bring all this fun to a more comp community.
I mean, just to add on this, I think it's also like great for the players pretty much, because I think everyone kind of just loves to watch the games back and see what they have done, what they could have done better. So I think there's like a lot of like, it's great for viewers, but also like for the players pretty much to have these streams. I think that's great.
If somebody wanted to join, what are the steps they need to go through?
Okay, so joining's very, very simple. You would join the VRPL Discord, which is Virtual Reality Premier League. And then once you're in there, you would literally just see the PPC EU. And you would go into that channel and just ask, for someone to help you. A member of staff's like always super helpful, can help you get registered, show you the process. It's very, very simple. You can register mid-season, which is the beauty of this. So, you miss qualifiers, you start on, let's say, week 3, you'll be in the bottom team, maybe, unless Repay changes some of the format there. And then you're in. So it's very, very simple, and we're all very helpful, and we'll help with that. Also, just to touch on BRPL, as an umbrella, they also have the PPL, which is the Population 1 Premier League, which is the very first competition that Population 1 ever launched. And they also have PPCNA. So what we've done is nicely separated it between top comp, that you now have the opportunity to be able to touch, reach, smell and play in. You also have a PPC Population 1 Players Club for NA, separate to EU, but you can play in both. So it's nice and flexible, and it's really transparent for players.
In your experience, like if somebody hasn't played a competitive game at all, I know I talked to a lot of people, and they said that we always play public games, we never try even to compete. What do you think is the difference between the public game and the competitive game? What do you think people can gain by joining the league?
I'll give my experience first, and then maybe yours, because I think everyone experiences it very differently. Public games for me are extremely different to comp play. The strategies, the theories, the formations of the teams, the team roles are all very clearly defined in competition, and it does give you a really good structure of play. The only way that I would say you can get involved and really experience that, it's so good that you're enjoying it, is to join the scrim scene. So we do have a scrim scene. It's very active. Excuse me. It's 2 p.m. Eastern, which is 8 p.m. Central European time. We have been running these now for about 13, 14 days. Very active.
Probably.
We're having 1 to 2 lobbies. So we're getting some really good teams in there, really good players and new teams. They're coming out, they're trying different formats and putting up, honing them really good skills. So I'd say get into scrims as soon as you can, and then join the league and have a crack at it. You'll get loads better.
So I guess for me, I think the first thing that why I'm also like so passionate about the whole EU League is that I would have just wished having something like this like 6 months ago or whatever, where you can just jump in to have like into comp games where your skill kind of will be good enough and like you compete versus teams that are pretty much your skill level. And I felt this was not really the case in the past, especially if you're like near to the game. And I think right now we can kind of manage to establish that pretty much. And I don't know, I feel obviously comp is like totally different to rank to squads, although I think with the new update and the ranked mode, squads in general would feel like way more like comp anyways, because you get so many more points for placement and whatever. So I think actually the even pubs will become more more oriented like comp, which maybe is like even like more reason to just start playing real comp a bit and like having fun with like other people and improving. And I don't know, what I felt like in the past is that I always looked at my pub stats and I felt that this is what defines me as a player to some degree. And I think this was like one of my biggest mistakes actually, when whatever you're doing in pubs, that's more or less most of the time just training, and it's way more important to kind of get your skill to like a better level to just become a better player. And playing comp is probably like forcing you to do that even more, which then in turn obviously makes you better at pubs as well. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like at least having like some touch with like the comp scene is pretty much good for everyone if he has the time. And yeah, I mean, pretty much this is what I wanna like. When I started to think about it and kind of creating this system, this is what I actually wanted the most out of it. That it's good for like the top teams, but it also like opens up a way for like a lot of newer EU teams to jump in and have some fun experience comp pretty much, playing with teams that are their skill level. And I think we pretty much accomplished that, and that's something pretty amazing for me.
From your perspective as organizers, you mentioned that one of the main features of that event is that it's EU Concentric. Is there anything else that you think that is significantly different with your event comparing to the previous things that happened before in Population 1?
Yeah, I mean, I guess as we said, like the opportunity to just move through the league so quickly and go from bottom or like from the lowest group to the top group. Like this is something that you can't have in like other leagues. Yeah, pretty much just like having action every week and accomplishing something every week feels so different than in other leagues where you just earn points and till the end of the season you don't even know whether you really did good or whether you did mediocre or whatever, you know. Like if you play our league, you pretty much like every week you know that whether you accomplish something or whether you move down, so you have something to fight for always. I mean, pretty much meaning that the feedback loop is quicker, so to say.
Yeah, I know I'd add to that as well. Some of the rules are very different. So, you know, learning from other things that haven't gone specifically great or looking at scenarios that may have gone a little bit wrong. We've tried to, you know, flush out and avoid and give scenario base around it, you know. So if we do this, this happens. So what if that happens? What's the consequences? Right, unwind that rule. Let's rewrite that rule and make it relative and verifiable. So we've tried to make sure that it's extremely fair, but every rule is there for a reason, not just for a rule's sake. I think also the way that we are trying to quicken the lobbies up, there's a lot of technology out there at the moment with auto scoring, excuse me, and one of the other leagues use it, and you know, I've played in it, it's great. 6 games you can do in 50 minutes quite easily. So we find that with some of the other leagues, you know, one of the biggest turn-offs is the wait time between games, waiting for scores to be reported to the host. So what we looked at was, how can we quicken the score reporting process up, but still accomplish live scores and verification? Because we need the screenshots to verify. So this is a whole heap of time now that you need resources and, you know, staff for. So we've got a really robust reporting process now that literally has live scores and all the verification done for all 3 lobbies within an hour after the game. I think that's a massive differentiator, and it did quicken up the lobbies the other night. Our first ever try at it. Everyone got it. They, you know, after the second game, they were on it, they understood, and it just flowed lovely. And we were done from start game to finish game. We were done in what, an hour?
Yeah, maybe slightly more, but
by the time we
like that,
started, an hour and 15 minutes.
Probably something like that.
That's very impressive. And the last question is, like, from your perspective as organizers, what do you think is the most important metric, like specifically for you? Like, for example, if this happens, that means that the event was successful. What do you want to achieve?
Want to start? I can start first. Honestly, for me, I don't really care how many people or how many teams play in. Obviously, I care about it, but like what I just want to know is that the people that play in enjoy this opportunity and have fun doing it and appreciate what we offer. And I always believe that if you manage that, everything else will come. So yeah, for me, the only metric is actually whether people enjoy what we're offering.
And from my point of view, it's player experience and player confidence. So we've seen in other leagues where, you know, there's a lot of unhappy players, things have happened, you know, it spills over, and it does, excuse me, create some unsettlement in a community. And we don't want to replicate that. There's enough of that. I think we're very transparent and open. We love the feedback. Like if something's not working from a player experience, tell us. You know, we want that player confidence so they understand that we're trying to do the best for them. We might not always get it right, but when we don't get it right, we're open to be discussed with without any sort of like judgment. So I think from what we experienced last week, it went absolutely brilliantly, and like everyone was so thrilled. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. But we want to continue that and better that, and you know, for people to trust us and know that we're really doing this to make competition right and enjoyable, and just back up what Rupe said.
Nice. This sounds extremely interesting. So maybe it's worth to have another interview maybe in a couple of weeks, so you can say what worked, what you changed.
I think it'll also be extremely good to see how all the standings move. Like there's some really like brand new teams in there that are mid-table at the moment that are like, oh my God, like they're actually ones to watch out for. I'm really excited to see it unfold in the casting.
For sure.
And then the playoffs, you know, I think will be extremely exciting, and we'll try and build a bit of hype around that. I think it should be very celebrated. The fact that this is, you know, the first EU league, it's dedicated to those players that have been screaming for so long for something. 100% would be up for that to chat to you again.
Yeah.
Nice. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.